Howdy do you all, this is John, and today we are talking about Avatar Aang, The Last Airbender, a new movie out on Paramount Plus right now. And in Avatar Aang, The Last Airbender, it deals with Aang, who is, an airbender. He's the last of his kind, and he's also the Avatar, someone who can bend and control all four elements instead of just one. Aang ends up hearing about this thing that can potentially, bring his people back from near extinction. Because, like I said, he's the last of his kind. But in doing so, he accidentally reawakens this 5,000-year-old airbender named Taga. And then after that, chaos ensues, and we have a movie. Now, to get things started, first and foremost, what I like about the movie, seeing Aang in the position he's in, it's kind of a continuation of the original cartoon series. I reviewed the Avatar: The Last Airbender cartoon series a couple of years ago, and, it's kind of a continuation of what was going on there. He is riddled with guilt because he could have maybe saved his people, although not really. But instead, he ran away. And he's very much riddled with guilt because, he was trapped for 100 years, then reawakens, and there's a war going on. And while the war is over at this point, that guilt is still haunting him. He's obsessed with trying to figure out a way to save his culture, save his people. It's really something that reinforces the fact that he is the last of his kind. Now, I like how this bleeds into the main villain, Taga. Taga, he's the main villain of the movie that kind of, even though it's kind of a late reveal, they revealed it long before this movie came out. He is the villain. But Taga, once he hears that it's just him and Aang, he has the same obsession. However, it's very different from Aang's. While Aang is very practical, very, he thinks things through and tries to have a moral code, Taga does not have a moral code. He is a complete militant. He's essentially kind of one of those villains that you empathize with. You completely understand his mindset. He's trying to preserve his culture. The problem is the way in which he wants to do that, it's genocide. It's literally no different than what the Firebenders did to the Airbenders. Genocide. I also like how this movie decided to continue what the show did and make family-friendly content, while also dealing with some dark stuff, some heavy subject matter and whatnot. Because even though Avatar: The Last Airbender was meant for kids, oh boy, there was still death present in the show. A lot of the themes were very heavy. War, genocide. It was pretty heavy stuff for a kid's show, which you've never seen before, and you don't really see, since the original show came out. This movie, despite being geared towards family, continues that. They talk about things like terrorism, discrimination, genocide. There are some heavy themes in this movie. Definitely. As far as the animation goes, it's different from the cartoon, but I like it. The original cartoon, again, I have to do a comparison, had great animation. I love the animation and the original cartoon, even to this day. This movie, they decided to do something visually different. But while it's different, I like it because it still kind of has the spirit of their cartoon in it. It still very much resembles their cartoon. The characters, all their designs look like more adult version of their cartoon counterparts. It is, visually speaking, a great looking film, undeniably. And as far as, the combat goes, the airbending, the fighting, everything like that, it's every bit as great as it was in the cartoon. I know I keep comparing it to the cartoon. It's inevitable. It's going to happen with everybody. But it is great. It's fast, it's intense, it's brutal at times. There is one moment where I did feel like, they did some Deus Ex Machina cop out crap. But other than that, it's every bit as intense, as exciting as it was in the original show. When it comes to the voice acting, I kind of have mixed feelings about it. Because undeniably, I think that what would have made this movie truly be perfect and work as like this nostalgic, fan service film that honors the original show, it would have been if the original voice cast returned for this movie. Unfortunately, they did not do that. And apparently it was a decision by the original showrunners of the series. Hire new voice actors. Only two, I would argue, do, as good of a job as the original. This guy named Ramon voiced Sokka. I do not remember Ramon's actual last name, but Ramon sounded like Sokka. He acted like Sokka. Everything that I imagined Sokka would do, this guy did. He like nailed Sokka. And also Donnie Kwan, who voiced Toph Beifong. While casting an actual blind person as a blind character for voice work, I think is completely unnecessary. At least in this case, it turned out well for them, because Donnie Kwan was great as Toph. Just like Sokka, whenever she talked, I'm just in there going, that's Toph. That is Toph to a T. Other than that, though, others do a fine job, like the voice actors for Zuko and Katara. Eric Nam as Aang, I think he was the weakest of them all. I genuinely think that, because at times he just kind of sounded like an old video game character rather than Aang. Now I understand, some of them it would literally be impossible. The original voice actor for Uncle Iroh unfortunately passed away before they were even done with the show. They had to recast him then. And from my understanding, a couple other people who worked on the original show have passed away. But most of this new cast don't do too bad of a job. However, I do also need to make mention of this. Dave Bautista as Taga. Dave Bautista as Taga was great. In my opinion, this is definitely one of Bautista's better, best performances. Because him as Taga, he brought an intensity to the role and this, sense of grief in his voice that Taga genuinely needed. All in all, I really loved this movie, but I do think that had they brought the original cast back, I would consider it to be the perfect continuation of Avatar: The Last Airbender. It's the simple fact that they did not return, it's what makes me say this was not perfect. But as it stands, it is near perfect, because almost everything else just lives up to what the original show did. Great animation, great combat. it was able to tackle, kind of dark themes, but in a family-friendly fashion. Great story. The characters all feel like evolved versions of their original cartoon counterparts. It's not perfect, but I loved what they did with this film. I'm gonna give Avatar Aang, The Last Airbender, a 9. Well, that's all the time I have for today. Please look forward to more videos real soon. Please hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. Please also subscribe if you're new to the channel. Please don't forget I also have a secondary channel where you do gaming content. Please go check it out. And as per usual, please remember, the Bradski will.